Welcome, class. Hi, my name is Zuriel, and I will be your guys' servant for today. And as you guys can see on today's menu, it's drinks, Renaissance. And it's humanism, Greek and Rome, perspective, autonomy, dress code, Torah, Who's table one? One raise your hand? Okay. Yes, table one? Okay. So, what do you guys like for the drinks?
Two orange juice.
Yes, we have Lindsey.
Thank you. This is orange juice?
Yeah, some of this.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, for this part, it would be Renaissance. So I would just be going over that. So, welcome to Kazan, Renaissance. This Renaissance period changed the course of arts in ways that continue Renaissance today. Humanism profoundly transformed Renaissance painting by shifting focus for solely divine. Stylized medieval themes to a realistic, human-centered subjects. It championed individualism and time accuracy and classical inquility. This led to adoption of linear perspective, emotional expression, and for the first time, positive deception of the nude body. And yeah, the Renaissance was inspired by ancient Greece and ancient Rome. As you can see, this makes these paintings less religious, fewer buildings, and less depth. And I will now show you guys the video.
Is brought to you by Captivating History. After a series of tragedies known as the crisis of the late Middle Ages, including events such as the Great Famine and Black Death, came a period of explosive social and cultural development. This period left such a mark on the history of Europe that it still shapes much of our modern world today. Known as the Renaissance, this period takes its name from the French word for rebirth. Considering the cavalcade of disasters that befell Europe after the fall of the Roman Empire, nothing could describe the Renaissance better than a complete rebirth of Europe. Considering the darkness it sprung out of, you might be wondering just how this miraculous period came about or how long it lasted. We're here to answer those questions, and a lot more you didn't even know you had about the Renaissance. This topic comprises...
Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna stop it there. It's really long. I don't know why it's 8 minutes, but I will now collect you guys' lesson menus. Thank you. You guys have it. Oh, you see it here?
Hello everyone, my name is Lindsey and I will be your server tonight with the theme of Industrial Revolution. Who here is table 2? No. What would you like off the menu?
We'll get some Monet and a little bit of science too.
Wait. Any of those on that menu? Monet. Thank you. So, a little bit about the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution began around the late 18th century, so around 1760s to 1780s, and accelerated throughout the 19th century. And the main The Industrial Revolution shifted art towards real everyday life, which we call modernism. So it really showed the harsh conditions that these people were working in factories. It also showed new societies, new inventions made throughout art. And a huge figure of that is Joseph White of Derby, who highlighted science, discovery, and dramatic lighting throughout his paintings. If you see his paintings, you can see that when he paints his paintings, he uses a style of textured strokes that kind of makes you feel like the light that is shown on the paintings. It kind of looks like it's real life, but it's actually not. Claude Monet used clean air painting and light-focused brushstrokes, which we call imperialism. And artists like Vincent Van Gogh and Pablo Picasso shifted art towards emotions and abstraction. And new tech like cinematography by the Lumiere brothers led to motion pictures, so like the Kodak camera. And here is a quick video.
Joseph Wright was an artist, and he was born in Derby in 1734, and he died in Derby when he was 64 in 1797. And for the most part, he stayed in his native town. He did exhibit his work in London. He went for a trip to Italy in the middle of his life for about 2 years, and he tried his hand in Bath as well. Went up to the Lake District later on in his life, so he did move around a fair bit, but he lived and worked in Derby for most of his life. And he was called Wright of Derby, but he certainly wasn't seen as a provincial artist. Certainly in his own lifetime, he was nationally famous, and his clients included people as auspicious as Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia, who bought a couple of paintings from him. And in fact, you can see his work now all over.
That's a little bit about Joseph White.
All right, who is table 3? Over here, what would you guys like on our menu? Anti-art? So many different options. You don't want randomness? You don't want nonsense? No rebellion? No? 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 Yes? No? Anyways, I'm going to cover data. Before you choose what you want to eat, maybe go over a little bit of our options. So we have data, which is centered around nonsense, disobedience, anti-everything pretty much, anti-war, anti-bourgeois, and they protested the war of World War II. Hugo Ball was a big founder of Dada and founded the Cabaret Voltaire with Emmy Hemmings, which was the hub for Dada artists to perform Dadaist poems and performance art. Conceptual art was on the rise as the meaning behind the art was more important than the quality of the end project. Marcel Duchamp was a key figure in the Dada movement, whose urinal ready-made, which is kind of gross, called the fountain, changed what qualified as art. And Hans Art created chance art, where he would cut up pieces of paper and throw them, and wherever it landed would be the art piece. And before I play this video, now do you know what you want to eat? Let's take your order. Where's the menu? Oh, I took it. Randomness? Some nonsense? Alright. Oh.
You get rebellion.
Sounds good. Out of your order.
Thank you.
Der Begründung von Dada. Jolifanto Pamblau Fallbambla Grossigam Fablauren Anlogobum Milagobum Mosafadaka.
So when you wait for your order, I'll pass it off to our postmodern McDonald's. I'm gonna go little order today.
Okay, so I will take pop culture.
Perfect. So for postmodern art, the postmodernists wanted to appeal to a larger audience. They wanted their art to kind of relate to everybody. They didn't want it to be something that only certain people, the elitists, could find understandable. So they tried to use playful colors, interesting things in the world that people wanted to look at, people wanted to know, people wanted to understand. They wanted to focus on the evolution of technology and media. The society was moving super fast. They wanted to try and weave that into what they were doing in the art world. And this is when performance art became integrated into art as a whole. So visual art was just visual live action performances. They were interactive, they were visual, they were cool, people wanted to sit down with them, people wanted to be a part of them, people wanted to look at them. And often these performances contained underlying conceptions, so they were things that people kind of had to think deeply about. And we talked about Marina Abramovic in class, and her performance art was basically about testing limits, whether physical or mental. She wanted people to really think about what she was trying to do behind the actual performances that she was doing. And then a last piece of modernism is simulacra, which is hyperreality, which is reality replaced by media. So it's essentially taking an image or an idea concept and multiplying it and copying it until you can't tell if it's real or if it's not. And then,
What would life be if we did not have the courage to have a go at any time, no matter what?
okay, the bottom right video that just played was from Van Gogh Interactive Museum here in Tampa, and the picture in the middle is from the same exact museum. So basically they used an overhead 3D camera and projected images and videos across the whole room. It was on the floor, on the walls. And interactive art is just a huge part of art now because they want people to be interested in it. It's not just a person standing and staring at an art piece for however long they want to. It's something that they can look around and see something different, like actually genuinely picture the art in like a way that they want to picture it. And then the soup cans is Andy Warhol, and he's also another famous performance artist. And this was an example of repetition in postmodernism. So it's taking an image and obviously replicating it. And as you can see, he changed a few of the logos in the soup cans. So sometimes it was popular to put filters on or change fonts or just like tweaks tiny specific things in the pictures. And then the picture in the bottom is pop art. It was just an example of like the colorful art that you didn't really have to be educated to understand. It was just kind of something that popped out at you. You could look at it, you could understand what it is, and it was just a simple, fun way of doing art. Something that was accessible for everybody.